Congratulations on a fantastic first season, and as I know, there's a second season coming. Congratulations on that. Before we get started, I actually just kind of want to ask everyone, I have very vivid memories of my introduction to the Monsterverse, as it's called, being, the 1970s, and seeing King Kong, and being like really traumatized. What was sort of your introduction to the Monsterverse, Godzilla or King Kong or any of these, kaijus?
I think mine was probably Godzilla, and I remember it was probably, I grew up in Ohio, and it was probably an independent, whatever the local independent station had bought like a bunch of the movies as a package, so they would always run like on Saturday afternoons, all the 50s and 60s Toho movies, so that was watching it in my parents' living room.
Oh, I saw Godzilla when I was about 8, and then just last night I watched Godzilla -1, which is really
Isn't it fantastic?
yeah. Interesting style of acting. It's a whole different style of acting, but it pays off so great at the end.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's on a different platform we won't talk about, but it's really good.
It's a good show to see.
Hannah, for you?
I can't really remember when it was that I saw the film. I was probably like a young teenager, but Godzilla has been like part of Japanese culture for such a long time. Like you would just go to Dagashiya tte nanda? Dagashiya tte?
Like an old-timey snack store.
Yeah, and like they would have these little figures, and like it's just there everywhere.
Yeah.
So
We're very authentic.
Kiersey, for you?
Oh, I don't even know. I don't know. Just being out and about in the world, seeing Godzilla and King Kong. I don't know. This was more so what I guess triggered my interest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily like seeking out the next. Am I supposed to say that, like the next Godzilla movie? I don't know. I also. Where are we talking about Godzilla? And I just went, hey, Ren.
I actually, in your defense, I really had to think about it because it's just sort of always been there.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Well said, Kiersey.
Thank you.
I don't really remember, but I think it was on TV or something.
Mm-hmm.
The Mothra stuff as well. I remember as a kid, I have a vivid memory of Mothra on TV.
I didn't like Mothra because it was airborne, and that was not cool by me. Mari, for you?
My father is of the generation that watched the original 54 film in cinemas, so he's a big cinephile as well. So we watched it together when I was a kid, and I remember I don't think I understood what it was about, but then I remember the feeling. It stuck with me. So yeah, that was my introduction.
Very much. I didn't understand it either. I just thought it was cool. What did draw you to this project? And I'm trying to think. You've done so many different genres, but I actually was like, surely he's been in a Godzilla movie before, but this is your intro to it.
The truth is, I'm getting to meet someone today that's responsible for Wyatt and myself and everybody. I wish Wyatt could be here. He's working right now. He's in Utah, and he sends his good wishes. But Ronna Kress I've never met Ronna.
Really?
And Ronna Kress had the casting idea of having Wyatt Russell play young Lee and Kurt Russell play old Lee. And I thank you for that because I had a ball doing it. It was the beginning of it all for us, and then we talked to the boys, Kress and Matt, and we started talking about what it could be, what the character could bring to the show, and we started there. And it was really, for Wyatt and myself, it was really an interesting thing because there had been we came to find out as we were promoting the show that no known actors who were father and son had ever played the same person.
Mm-hmm.
They played father and son a lot, and you've had some known actor who was older perhaps than an unknown actor, or vice versa. But it was really interesting to look at that and say, yeah, this we're playing the same guy, so we gotta use our idiosyncrasies in a positive way for the character. whenever you're playing a character, you know, you're always doing the same thing. Everybody's always trying to find, you know, what it is that makes it help the screenplay move along and the story move along. So that was a lot of fun.
Had you and Wyatt ever been approached about working together or playing father and son prior to this?
A lot.
I figure, yeah.
Just never found anything we really wanted to do.
Right, so I'm imagining it had to be the perfect project in addition to, you know, this brilliant casting idea.
It was a really good casting idea. It was really, it really was. I mean, I think that I hope what Wyatt and I did was bring a character that could help flesh out what Kress and Matt at the time were looking for, which was to tell this story. It really is, you know, following Alice down the rabbit hole and her experience. And, you know, I'm just really impressed with the cast that they put together. These guys were absolutely terrific. And I was just glad to be part of it.
Did you find Wyatt studying you, or has he been doing that all his life? Would you catch
Kind of the other way around. You know, it's funny when you have you know your children, and when they go into acting, you get to see what they do and stuff. We had 2 units going. I'll try to make this short, guys, so I don't eat it all up. But we had 2 units going. Had the opportunity one day when I wasn't working to go over and see the unit that Wyatt was working on, which was with Mari and Anders. And that day was the fight scene. It's kind of when you meet Lee Shaw. And it was a fascinating experience because within about a half an hour, I was no longer watching Wyatt. I was no longer involved in watching my son. That's a fun thing to do, you know, see how your kid's doing and all that. But suddenly I was said, this fucking actor's good, man. This guy is really, he's playing a character. And I'm going to have to play this guy older. So it really informed me. And it was him laying it down, and you know, I was going to pick it up and go with it later.
see that episode? Because I didn't want to watch it because I'd start crying. And I was thinking about how there's been like an epic series in the last 3 years. You're a part of it, between Pachinko and Shogun and Monarch. Can you talk about joining the cast and building the character of Kate? Because she's someone who starts off, you know, so traumatized by G-Day and battling PTSD, and it's a big undertaking.
Well, when I originally heard about this, I was looking for something really fun. And so when I heard that it was, you know, going to be a Godzilla show, I was like so excited. And then when I read the script, I was like, oh my gosh, she's carrying so much burden. So that was a surprise. But I think that my experience in Japan when the Tohoku earthquake happened, when was it? 2011? That was like a core trauma memory for me, and I was able to draw from that. And a lot of the scenes that we started with were those scenes where, you know, Kate's remembering G-Day and she's running away, and we also shot in Japan for those scenes, and so I think that it just kind of felt, I don't know, I think that experience that I had really helped.
Mm-hmm. You were sort of preparing for the movie, for the 10-hour movie, for the series.
Like our table read was on Zoom. Yes,
Oh,
that was our first time meeting. But we actually met for the first time on set. I think I met Ren first. You were getting mic'd up, you had your shirt off.
You remember that?
And I said, oh, hi, Ren. And then
I met him as well. Sure. When I met Joe, he didn't have a shirt.
I went to Tippett. That was fun. And then I saw Anna walking, and
You asked me.
I didn't. I said, she's a teacher, right, in this show. And I said, do you like your outfit? She said, do you? I said, do you?
I just wanted to impress her.
I had a cool outfit on.
You did.
Not as Kiersey as May. But anyways, I feel like our personalities all complement each other in real life. And I really bonded with you guys in a way that I guess was kind of unexpected.
But we also spent a lot of time together on
Yeah.
set. So, you know, we went to the spa together, we went to play tennis,
The
we would go
spa.
to the park to picnic, things like that. So, you know, it just felt like a very organic way to like grow our relationship. We laugh as we went to the spa. Not intimidating art.
I was going to say, all these people had to run around the jungle all the time, or a little jealous. Although, from what I understood, I heard the three of you kind of were sad you weren't part of the 1950s timeline. Really?
We were
Yes.
sad we weren't part of the 1950s.
Oh, right.
Get into it.
I wanted to do what Mari was doing. Like, you look so cute.
They were doing all the adventurous fun stuff.
Yeah.
That's not true.
We
That's not
were
true.
just running away. I wanted to do
That
the
is true.
climbing.
We were chasing, you were running away.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. But then
From
we were
us.
supposed to go to all the
From Joe and I.
I think we just wanted to be with everybody.
Yeah.
I you know, you're so curious as to like we're all in the same show, but we only see each other in
Yeah.
passing. It was more so that.
Yeah, I totally get that. And Ren, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this your first professional acting job? Wow. That's amazing. Can you sort of just take us through the process of you know, learning about the role and booking it, and what you thought when you knew you were going to be sharing, you know, scenes with these amazing actors?
I just knew a casting director in Japan, and that's how it began. And then I think got on a call with like Kress and Ronna, and from there, I don't know what happened, but
You're like, I don't know how I got here.
I really don't, because I really thought there's no way it's me. But I don't know.
Maybe I should ask Ronna.
Well, yeah, you should ask Ronna. It was a challenging role to cast, and
It was a very difficult role to
And
cast,
I
and
mean,
we
I do
looked all over the
remember-
world.
I do remember when we saw Ren on Zoom
On
for the
Zoom.
first time, we were like, oh, that guy.
Yeah, yeah. And then we saw you quite a few times on Zoom, and then when they were in Tokyo, you met everybody at that point too. So it was a long process, but we sort of knew right from the start after we saw his audition that we were really excited. Very often in this process, you want to prove yourself right. You know, so you keep looking, and then you just go back to what you really feel strongly about. So that was Ren.
Ren, do you remember the scene you auditioned with the first time?
The scene.
Yeah, what the sides were, or
Oh no. I'm sorry, I told you.
that's okay. I don't remember what I had for breakfast today, so I can't fault you. Mari, you are the only actor in the series who gets to play a character in both timelines.
Oh, yes.
Yes, which leads to, you know, some of the most heartfelt moments in the episode we saw tonight. What was sort of that experience like, especially dealing with all the revelations we see in the finale? She has to take in a lot.
Yes, it all has to happen quite quickly. So I feel like there was a lot of expectation and pressure on that scene. And I think, Kurt, we hadn't worked together, so I feel like you were also worried if we could like pull it off. So there was a lot of meetings and a lot of rehearsals, and we talked about it a lot. And yeah, I feel like it was a true collaboration in how to craft a scene, because, you know, there was a lot of, you know, rehearsals and talks beforehand, but then you get on set, and I feel like the moment you kept telling me, Kurt, that, you know, Keiko's face is what you've been thinking about filming the entire season. It's just all about her in your head, and that meant a lot to me. But of course, she doesn't know that. My character doesn't know that. And so you're coming into it with 70 years of longing, and I'm coming into it with 57 days of solitude and survival, and also longing, but in like a different way, because I know I'm gonna get back to these people. So that's sort of like the moment these two longings meet. And I feel like at that point in the shoot, it was at the very tail end of it, so we really were both deep into our characters, and there were just things that we felt we needed to say to each other, and the writers, Kress and Matt, and we all, you know, you guys were very gracious to let us say what we felt like we wanted to say in those moments, so we were able to add on to what was already sort of like a beautifully crafted scene. And I think my favorite thing about that scene is as she hears Shaw talk her through what has been happening, I think there's the struggle of the scientist and the human. And all season we saw the scientist sort of like, charging forward on her mission. But then in that moment we see a woman, and there's that moment of trying to understand it as a scientist. Like the human takes over. Like what am I even talking about? Gravity, nothing matters. Like I have lost everything. So that was like a really interesting moment to play.
Well, no, I just want to say it's just very generous of you to credit us with that scene. That scene is all of them. That is, when I look at that scene, there was a script, there were words on page at some point, but what that scene is an example of these two actors figuring out what that needed to be, what the emotion had to be. It was all, I take no credit for that. It was these guys making that work.
The people who made that work were Wyatt and Mari in show 6. That's the only reason that works. But when you're doing 10 shows, 2 hours each, you're basically doing 5 movies back to back to back to back, and you don't know the last line of the movie because you're still writing. You're writing 8 while you're doing 3 and stuff. Television is just horribly difficult in that regard. It really is.
I don't disagree.
I don't know how these guys do it. It's very, very difficult. But what you and Wyatt did in 6, everybody was very concerned, especially Wyatt and myself, that enough was going to be there to carry that emotion. I did think very solidly that by the time you got to the end, and when that occurred, that the audience would be with you, and they made the audience be with you. They did the work.
I had to do an obstacle course in France. I think I did Kurt's laundry for 2 weeks.
Hey, you got the part, okay?
I got the part, yeah.
I had a chemistry read with me.
I can't read. Yeah, more importantly. I feel like I think I had an idea of where they were going. It was sort of tricky to make sure that you don't see, because they wanted it to be ambiguous until it wasn't anymore. And so being able to play things that can have 2 meanings, like if you go back, you can see oh, it has always been that guy. Like you don't want to trick the audience. But I feel like I had an idea where it was going. And so I think there's probably takes of me where it's me chewing up more scenery than Godzilla when they cut that stuff, and so it looks like I'm dangerous. But I think I knew where it was going, but yeah.
And I think we told you were a good guy. I think at the end.
Really?
I think if I recall, there wasn't a lot of specifics, but I think you said am I a killer? Or am I and we were like, no. You're like,
I think I remember we talked about that Tim was both Schlemiel and Schlemazel, but he spills
and
food on
Posse
himself.
Self Incorporated as well.
Elisa, you mentioned there was a chemistry read because I love your scenes together. Was that chemistry pretty much there from the start?
I mean, we did, we auditioned in a conventional way. You send a tape, and then it's like throwing a bottle at sea, and you never know if you're going to hear it back, and then you do hear it back, and then there was a second tape, And then we auditioned on Zoom. Was it still pandemic? Was it still, we were in lockdown, or either ways we're in different continents, so it had to be on Zoom, And they did what you guys call it, chemistry read, to see if we...
If my box has chemistry with the box that she has.
And crazily enough, it does kind of work through the boxes because, as actors, you say one line and I say one line, and it makes... You receive that line and you feel something, and it so happened that we, I guess, what you call click. And and I guess... our creators and casting directors saw that, and I had no doubt you were going to get the job. And I knew we clicked, so I was like,
so arrogant.
Well, we're excited that the adventure continues. I mean, we have these actors, we have these amazing characters that, you saw how the episode ends. There's someone new who steps onto the stage at the end of the first season, who we're very excited to work with in the second season. And, we're all working hard together right now. We're having these conversations right now about what that adventure is going to be. I'm just really excited about it.
Me too, and in the meantime, you can catch all the episodes from season 1 on Apple TV+. Please join us outside for the reception. Thank you for being with the audience. Thank you for coming.
So